I usually sat in the middle of the class. That was where the ordinary pupils sat. The clever ones sat at the back, the slower ones sat at the front. That's the way it was in those days. The teacher came in, we knew she was angry. We guessed there was going to be a rollicking coming. There was a tense hush. And then we got it, both barrels. She was furious about something. Somebody had done something that had upset her, and she was giving the whole class the works. She didn't know who it was, and we didn't know either. Was it an act of vandalism? Was it some pilfering from the wee shop? Was it broken glass? We don't know. Anyway, we sat there, and I can remember these occasions feeling really tense. Everything in my stomach tight, feeling almost squeamish, and also sensing a kind of injustice. I wasn't to blame, but the whole class was being told they would be punished, and there were dire threats if it ever happened again. And we were supposed to, I suppose, find the culprit and sort them out, but that was never quite spelt out. It wasn't good. And in one moment, the teacher would lose the affections and the respect of the entire class. 42 pupils suddenly were hostile. That kind of broad brush group kind of sweeping justice just doesn't work. It's not fair on the majority. It puts everybody into a category of being an offender when in most groups are not. Anger comes out, and particularly a sense of just anger, a moral indignation, comes out powerfully, and it needs to be expressed, but it often and naturally comes out just in a great deluge, a wide spray, and often that's not the best way. It certainly doesn't change things. When water comes out of a hose, the nozzle in the end usually can be adjusted. It can either give you a wide, fine spray, or it can give you a narrow, concentrated column, a jet of water. The fine spray will soak a lot of ground, but the narrow jet of water can actually change the shape of rock. It just needs enough time and enough focus. We have a situation today where police forces around the world, but particularly in the USA and in the UK here, are confronting a huge amount of civil unrest. And people are genuinely and justifiably angry. But how is it expressed? That wide spray or a fine adjustment? Sometimes a little bit of thought and self-restraint and focus can be far more effective than just this outward expression of outgoing anger in all directions. And it's quite easy for mob demonstrations to turn into mob violence, and the violence then spills over into things that are not directly related and will have no benefit at all to the outworkings of the purposes of the crowd. And it's been ironic that in some cases we've seen policemen of the same ethnic group lining up against demonstrators who are demonstrating on behalf of that ethnic group. And in the US there are some cities where the police chief is an African American, and where these people feel conflicted beyond words, and they know there's an injustice and they want to change it, and they're not part of that system. And it's wrong to implicate them. And in fact, it does the cause harm, not good. And the people in history who've done the most to change injustice, whether it's racial or whether it's to do with class or wealth or whatever the background is, have often been people who've had enormous personal integrity, enormous intellect and restraint, and a huge amount of determination and commitment. And we think clearly of Martin Luther King, of Gandhi, of Jesus. People who didn't damage others in the pursuit of their cause or as an expression of rage or indignation, but made sure that things changed. And given time, and given focus, and given righteousness, the arc of moral justice, the kind of phrases that Martin Luther King spoke of, well, in time, that narrow jet of water can change even a rock. And so it's not something that we should give up. And we need to focus more clearly on who are the people that we want to see change. The individuals, the policemen, the lawyers, the justice system, the criminal justice system, the prison service, the community workers. Who are these individuals? Let's monitor them, assess them, train them, allow them to be more aware in terms of bigotry and racism, and help to do something to change it and to address it. And to find out not only who they are, but how they should change. What do we want them to do? Just a great explosion of rage in all directions will achieve nothing. In fact, it will damage the cause that is such an important one, and that we need to be sure that the column of water is focused and constant and will be ready in time to change even the rock.